The march to Blair Mountain, sponsored by Appalachia Rising, started Monday in Marmet and will end in Blair, West Virginia, near Logan. The route mimics the original march by coal miners who walked to the mountain in August and September of 1921. At that time, miners had decided to fight for rights that coal operators weren't supplying, including the right to organize in unions. Paul Nyden is a reporter for the Charleston Gazette who wrote his doctoral dissertation on the reform movement that began within the United Mine Workers of America in the 1960s. He talked to some of the marchers this week as they made their trek.
Miners came up from Marmet, traveled over the mountains down to Blair Mountain and got into a confrontation with deputies from Logan County and armed guards hired by the coal companies, maybe by the sheriff's department too.
The well-known reporter says within 6 or 7 days, the violence had become so bad that West Virginia's governor asked the president to call in federal troops. Their presence finally stopped the conflict on September 4th. Nyden says the march on Blair, along with other battles, was the beginning of change for miners.
Struggles like that were significant later in encouraging other miners to continue to try to help organize themselves, and certainly people remembered that in the early 30s when the United Mine Workers really became quite strong in West Virginia and throughout the country.
Are you public radio?
One of the people involved in this week's march is Chuck Keeney, the great-grandson of Frank Keeney, who was one of the 1921 organizers on Blair Mountain. Keeney says it means a lot to be part of a march that commemorates what so many miners stood for, while also letting the Environmental Protection Agency know that they don't want mountaintop mining to happen there.
Well, I headed in that direction because I didn't learn about the history of the West Virginia mine wars in Blair Mountain from school. I learned about it around family picnics. I learned about it around fireplaces. I learned about it at church, at church covered dish dinners. You didn't learn about it at school because it's not in the textbooks.
Keeney says throughout the week so far, the reception marchers have received has shown the different sides of how West Virginians feel on mountaintop removal.
I've had old ladies that are coming out of their houses and coming up and shaking my hand and telling me what a wonderful thing it is we're doing. And then I've seen a person drive by me with a pickup truck flipping me off. So it is very indicative of how divisive these issues are and how far we need to go.
The group will finish its march Friday. Participants will proceed to the crest of Blair Mountain on Saturday. For West Virginia Public Broadcasting, I'm Clark Davis in Huntington.